Yeah.
So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon or whatever time it is in other parts of Australia or the world. For those that don't know me, my name is Lawrence. I'm the admin on the Hypnotherapists Network group on on Facebook. And today we have the opportunity to chat about the Bunny Talk process with its creator, Claudia Rickard. Now, you would have heard of an Englishman in New York. In this instance, we have an English lady in Portland, Oregon, although normally in North Carolina. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments section. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them into there, and I'll make sure that we are able to get them across to Claudia at the appropriate times. Otherwise, I'm going to relatively shut up fairly quickly here. I will say that, looking online, this is a process that Mike Mandel, Bob Burns, and Larry Garrett have all got behind. Three extraordinary gentlemen. So if they say it's good, then it's well worth having a listen to what Claudia has today. But with that, I'm going to go zip, and I'm going to pass it across to Claudia.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Yes, and Beryl Comer. You're quite right, Rebecca.
Oh, Beryl's fabulous as well.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you everybody for joining me. And I always like to get the energy up. And I'm going to share something with you, and we're all going to do it together. And what we're going to do is something that actually my son showed me. And I absolutely love it. It gets the energy up. So I'm going to do it first of all, and then we're all going to do it together. Okay. So let me just stand up a moment, and I'm going to do this. I don't know if you can see me there. There we go. Okay. My mind is still like water. My body is strong like a mountain. My heart is fierce like a lion. Rah! Okay. If you can, stand up. If you don't want to, stay where you are. We're going to do this one first. My mind is still like water. Are we ready? My mind is still like water. My body is strong like a mountain. My heart is fierce like a lion. Rah! Okay, right. Now I've just done that twice. So now I feel absolutely amazing. Okay. And do I do that with my families? Yes, I do. Because sometimes the parents are saying, I'm tearing my hair out. The kids don't know what I'm saying. They're not listening to me. They're not getting ready in the morning. They're not doing as I ask them to do. I go, well, let's play. Let's play and have some fun. So you do that in the morning, and then the kids are all like pumped up, and then it's like, okay, so how about teeth, shoes, bags, and then they go and do it. And then whenever they get one of those things, they shout out tick or check or whatever you say wherever you are. So that is something that I do immediately with the parents. And when the children come in, I go, come on, let's play. Let's get this going. And that's what we do. We immediately get our energy up. And then it's like ready for play. And they of course, then just love me because it's like they've just been all giggly and fun. Now, who remembers shadow puppets? Do you ever remember playing shadow puppets? Yep. Okay. This is how the Bunny Talk came about. My husband was in the Royal Navy, and he was away for months on end. Now, we had our little girl, and she was 3. He was actually in Afghanistan at that time. 3, 4. She'd get into bed with me in the morning, and we would play. We would just play around. Then we started doing shadow puppets, and she particularly liked the bunnies. So we had Mummy Bunny and Baby Bunny, and we were just doing this for years and years and years. It became our thing. I taught her ABCs. We did the simple math. We did all sorts of things, days of the week, months of the year. We did all of that with the bunnies. And then we roll on. She gets older. We stop doing it. And we move to America. And she's 12 now. She's 12. And when she went to school, it's 2019. Oh, and then we all know what happened in 2020, COVID. And during that time in America, they didn't have school for 2 years. And I've got it's coming up. And so now she was at home with a hoodie up, no friends. All school was online. I don't know what they did in Australia, but that was just really bad for her mental health. And she started to self-harm. I blamed myself, as most mothers do all the time. Most parents blame themselves. And I thought it was my fault for taking her to America, and she was away from her friends. And one night, she came through to my bedroom. It was New Year's Eve. It was 3:00 in the morning, and she was sobbing. It was a horrible sob. I was scared. And I got out of bed. I got into bed with her, and I held her. And I said, can you tell me what it is? She wouldn't tell me. She hadn't been telling me all this time the reasons for these marks on her legs. And sometimes it was a steak knife. Now, don't ask me what made me do it. I got Mummy Bunny out. And she got her baby bunny out, which is as big as my bunny now because she's 15, with the little ears down. And she told Mummy Bunny what had happened to her. And because Mummy Bunny never reacted, we'd always played, it was always play. I'd never told her off. I listened, and we figured it out. The bunnies figured it out. I hadn't realized that all that time ago, when she was little and we'd been playing bunnies, that we had anchored in, you all know what that is, it's an anchor. We had anchored in safety, love, and security, unconditional love, because I didn't react. I didn't say, why didn't you tell me? Why did you? I never said that. It was, okay, it's all right, I've got you. Thank you. What would you like to do? Because she's 15. How will we do this? How can I help you? And we figured it out, because at 5:00 in the morning, she said, I'm all right now, you can go now. And it was, and you all know, we had dissociated that out. Now, I was learning to become a sleep talk practitioner with Cheryl Elman, actually. And she said to me, Claudia, because I was telling her this because it's all part of the same, because we're learning about unconditional, it's so important, the legacy tree, unconditional love. And she said, Claudia, she goes, you've got to do something with this. So I did. I wrote a book, A Parent's Journey and the Bunny Talk Process. And it is a very short ebook, especially short, so that parents will read it. Because I didn't have time to read when I was a parent. I've actually got 5 children. So 2 from my first marriage, 2 are stepchildren. And then with my second marriage, we've got our daughter, who is now 18. And so I wrote this book, and it's 10 best things for parents to ask each other, perhaps even before they get married, but to ask each other before they even have a child, so that they are singing on the same hymn sheet. And then there's best practice for the child when there's a divorce. And then there's best practice for being a step parent, just really quick things. And it's all for the child. And then, of course, it's got the bunny talk process in there, how it was developed, and that you too could do this with your child. Start playing now so that when they are teenagers, they can actually talk to you about something, because they will still remember that safety, love, and security, that unconditional love. And even just the other night, actually, my 18-year-old, she came into me. She's out a lot at the moment. She's got a new boyfriend, but she came through to my room, and it was quite late, and I was reading. My husband was asleep, and she came. She did that at the door. I got up out of bed and went straight there. That to me is an invitation. That to me is now an invitation. She wants to talk. And so we did. So I always know that. And funnily enough, I've since said to her as well, I said, darling, I said, if I ever get dementia, I may forget you. I said, but I will never forget the feeling of the bunny talk process. Will you please talk to me with the bunnies? So that is our thing. Now, so I wrote that book, and then I spoke about it at Hypnothoughts Live. And I had a couple of other presenters come up to me and say to me, are you going to make that into a course? And I said, well, no, because all parents can do that. It's shadow puppets. And they said, oh, right. Well, if you don't, we will. And I thought, oh, no, that's my story. So, and I thought, well, hang on a minute. I do see children. I have been seeing children the whole time when I was in England, even before I came here. And I thought, well, I will just train how I work with children, because I realized that I had a unique way of working with children. And then I thought, well, and I also have always wanted to work with the parents as well. And I do, because that's how I work. I ask the parents to come in for a session, and I do my version of emotional intelligence, a lot of which I learned from Beryl Comer. So I'm going to share with all of you right now something that I do with my parents, so that they get that awareness. Because this is the problem that a lot of people have, is that they think, well, I can't just tell the parents it's them. How do you do that? How do you get the parent to take responsibility? This is one of the ways. Okay, so draw a triangle here. Because what I'm saying to the parents is, I'd like you to come in for a session first, because they say to me, can you fix my child? So this is like one of the second drawings that I draw, because I say, I'm just going to draw you some drawings so that you can see what is going on for your child. But here we have a triangle. I say, this is the triangle of when we're first born. And our mind is eager to learn. Our body is eager to get going, and our soul is brand new and shiny from Soul World. And when these all overlap, we have this lovely little bit in here, and that is called balance and harmony. And hopefully your children had that when they were little. Play, 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 Christmas birthdays, play, 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 Christmas birthdays. And they might be, and they generally go, well, yes. Or they might go, well, we got divorced, or this happened. And I go, well, no matter what, though, we go to school and we get this thing called expectations. And some parents, I say some parents, put onto their child, why didn't you make the soccer team? They did. Why aren't you in honor roll? Why didn't you get an A? They did. They can do it. Why can't you do it? They made the A team. They're in Division 1. Why aren't you? And quite often I'll get parents going, either, oh yeah, we expect a lot, or they say, that's what happened to me. And I think I do that now too. And I say, well, expectations leads to disappointments. Now, also, I do say all parents have expectations. let's have a reality check here. Okay, we expect our children to brush their teeth, to come down when we call them for dinner and do their homework. And you know, because we would be very nice if they did those things. Now, some children put the expectations on themselves. Sometimes it's not the parents. Sometimes it's the teachers doing it to them. And no matter what, it leads to these disappointments, and it breeds this triangle. And that is anger, fear, and guilt. And the anger feeds the fear, and the fear feeds the guilt, and the guilt feeds the anger, and the fear feeds the anger, and the anger feeds the guilt, and the guilt feeds the fear. And it goes every which ways. And most people, in fact, pretty much most of my clients, and I expect yours do too, they all live in this triangle. And all anger is based in fear. You go the below of the anger, there is fear. If that child is acting out, kicking, lashing out, throwing chairs, doing whatever they're doing, there's fear. Fear of not being worthy, not being loved. It's a trauma response. Something has happened, okay? And then they may feel guilty about it. Now we've got shame. So there's all these things going on for people. And I say to them, my job is to get people back to balance and harmony as best as I can. And we do this with acceptance. And that is acceptance of ourselves and acceptance of other people. It is with forgiveness. Forgiveness of themselves. So the parent has to give themselves grace. It's not about now beating yourself up. It's now let's move on to the next thing. What can we do now? What's next? Okay, next play. Just like in sport, it's always the next play, isn't it? Next opportunity. And now I see a lot of people who have been abused. And I do not tell people to forgive other people. That's not my job. What I can do is get people to a place of indifference. And that includes the children. To a place of indifference, so that they then have the choice to forgive if they choose to, because they are always in control of them. We have to give some of that choice back to the child, the control back to the child, to the teenager, or to your client. Now, so acceptance, forgiveness, letting go, because I say that is what I am really good at doing. And that is what I'm going to be training everybody else to do, how to let it go. And moving on, I say, that is what you get to do. That's what the child gets to do. The moving on, that is what the child, that's what the teenager, that's what the parent, that's your client gets to do. They get to move on. Now, after I've done the diagrams, the parents will often be your clients as well, because they know that they have, and I call them exiles in pain, but that is in another diagram, which I train in when I do the bunny talk process. Now, let me show this as well. I'll explain this to you. Now, I got this from Carl Smith. Who knows Carl Smith? So he uses this all the time to explain the amygdala, okay? And I love it because he actually says when he does trainings, use my stuff, use it, make it your own. And so I did. So this is from Carl Smith, and that is actually what I'll be doing with the bunny talk process as well, is that when you take the course and you learn it, you will actually take bits that you already do and make things your own, because you have your own stories to add to the different diagrams. Just same with this right now. So let me explain this one, because this is really cool. So this is our amygdala, and it's always looking after us. It's going fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze. So right now, because I know you have snakes in Australia as well. So if a snake slithered into your room right now, I bet you'd all jump up on your chair. Yeah, you'd move pretty quick. Yeah. If I said to all of you right now, oh, let me see you jump up on your chair, you go, no, why? Okay, you just wouldn't want to do it. So a snake comes in, you would move pretty quick because you go like that. You go, whoop, like that. So aren't our brains amazing? Aren't we amazing? Because we could just move like that so quick without even thinking about it. Because we get a shot of cortisol, a shot of adrenaline, and our body just will move. Okay, so that is brilliant. So what I'd like you to do now is imagine we're in a bank and a robber comes in with a gun. We're going to go like that, yeah? We'd all freeze because he's got a gun. And then he grabs us by our shoulders and he shoves us in a tiny cupboard. Now we're all locked in this tiny little room. And he smells of a really stinky cologne as well, okay? Now, the police come, they take him away, we're let out. Ooh, we go back down there. Do you know what? We don't like being touched on our shoulders anymore now. He anchored in fear. And then some of you might not like flying. Some of you might always have to use the elevator now. I mean, the stairs now, because you're scared of elevators, lifts. And then some of you, if you're in a small room, you might always have to have the door open. And then not only that, as time goes by, you might go, oh, if you're in a movie theatre or a cinema, you have to sit on the end of the row now as well. And then 20 years later, you could smell the smell of the stinky cologne and start going, oh, I'm feeling a little bit, don't like that. And that is because you've forgotten what it is, but the amygdala hasn't. The amygdala remembers everything. The amygdala remembers things because adrenaline is a memory fixer. And when you are like that, now you could be like that when you're having a good time as well. So that's great, isn't it? So that's why we always remember good times and really bad times. So when we're like that, and especially when we're trapped, it's called an AMPA receptor, but I say it's like a big blob of poo, okay? Sticks on your brain. And then that poo goes into like catastrophizes and goes into like sloppy poo, which is why you might not like elevators and flying and this and that and that. And it goes all over the place. And there's like crazy things that people go, oh, well, I don't like that now. I don't like that. And it's gone into that area. Because when we're trapped, now we're trapped if we're raped, we're trapped if we in a car with your parents screaming at each other. You're trapped so often. You've heard it. You've heard your clients say the places where they were. And people can be trapped. When you're trapped, that poo is stuck on here. It's our job, my job, to get rid of those poos. We pluck those off. The sloppy poo dries up. And then people just go down like that. And then when a similar thing happens, because we've all heard the word, I get triggered. That's what all the time. When people get triggered, they go there and then it goes like that. And that's stress. Okay. People get triggered and instead they just go, because with the bunny eye movements that I use and a certain suggestion that I say, then, and the bunny takes it out. And then we anchor in good things. And we also, the bunny gives things. And I, as I said, train all this, that pops the poo off the amygdala. So that they are just going, so what? So what? I am not magic. I cannot actually take the whole thing away. So if it's like a big frog in somebody's throat, we've all been there. We've got that, up our throat, behind our eyes makes us want to cry. Like I say, I'm not magic. I can't take the whole frog away, but I can turn it back into a tadpole or frog spawn. And that is what I am training along with this. So there's lots of different parts to the bunny talk process. And again, I mean, it is literally like having, let me see, like that, say all the anxiety. Yeah, that's all the anxiety. And then you literally want to like shove it all down there. That's what we're going to be. We're going to be getting rid of it. We're actually going to be magically getting rid of it all. Okay. And that's what we can do. All right. So I am actually just going to see if anybody's got any questions there right now, because I've just shared an awful lot just then. So feel free to ask some questions.
Given that no one has put any questions in the comments section, if anyone does have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask them at the moment. Christian said he loved the magic trick with anxiety, so perhaps I'll ask one then. In terms of the bunny talk process, what would you mentioned there's lots of different parts there, but what would a standard session look like for someone?
Okay, so with a child, so if we're talking about a little one, say they're 8, okay, then what I do is I'm building the rapport. I mean, the parent can be there. The parent can be there. The work is content free. Children don't like to share what's going on with them, and I am so I might do that first of all, and then I will ask them some questions, like what's their favorite color, what do they like to eat, various things like that. And if they had a superpower, what would it be? What's their favorite place? And I'm calibrating all the time, and I'm watching their body language. And I'm also, because there's quite a few little questions, and they're fun, and you can chat backwards and oh, I like fish fingers too, or I like this, you're just chatting, and then you're finding out about them. You're watching all the time. You're watching the parent as well. It's quite interesting. We know all that we're all meant to be watching and calibrating all the time, but you're building that rapport with a child. And then I go, there's some that, and I just say the story about the poo. I don't go on about too much about, if we're in a room and there's a gun, it's slightly different, but it's just like sometimes it's not very nice things that happen, and it's called poo sticks on our brain. We don't want poo on our brain, do we? No. So would it be okay if we got rid of that poo? Oh yes, that would be nice. And then I actually have big pieces of paper, and I get the like builder's paper, and I ask the parents to draw around the body, okay? And then now we take all of my shoes are off, the kids' shoes are off, we're on the floor, all right? And there's a lot of up and down, maybe moving around. When I'm rolling this big paper out, I get the child to help me. So it's called builder's paper. And now when I'm getting them to help me, what are they doing? It's compliance. And so now we're like in this together, and the parent draws around the body, and then they go back and sit wherever they're sitting. And I'm on the floor. We've got our colorings, we've got to get it, and I've got the poo, and I go, can you take the poo? Would you like to take the poo out? Where do you feel that bit of poo in you? And they draw it, okay, on their body. And they've got colorings, they can add words to it. I've got an emoji sheet if they can't think of emotions, but they can often write words: sad, angry. It doesn't matter about their spelling. There's no spelling police here. It just doesn't matter. So they're writing things down of how that might feel. And then I will do the bunny movements, eye movements. So there's EMDR, if you like, on it. But I mean, I've trained in the blast technique, IEMT. I'm a master NLP practitioner. I'm a certified havening practitioner. There's so many eye movements and so many different things. I'm doing it with the bunny. I also do anchoring as well. Before I do that, we've anchored in good states. So I've mentioned about the bunny, about the shadow puppets, and we do some anchoring. And then and then we'll play on and then we'll do the eye movements. And I use a ruler for the suds. Where's my ruler? So I use colorful rulers, and then and because children don't, scale. well, how do you visualize that in their head sometimes? It's like, a ruler. In fact, I use this with the adults as well sometimes because some adults, they don't like this, like, they go, they can't do it, and that's okay. So it's always for us, isn't it, to have something else? I think, anyway. So it's, so yes. And then we check on the suds and we get it down. We keep doing it, get it down to 0, 1. And then when they come in with a good feeling, we anchor that in. And then, Bunny gives them that good feeling. And then I check the work. I always check the work. I check it with, I've got snakes and spiders. I've got bunnies, of course. I dropped my pride camel. I've got loads of toys, absolutely tons of toys. And I asked them we check the work. I do a little bit of role play. Again, they don't need to say it all. And it depending on some children are better at it than others. My teens love it. My adults love it. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Yes, I do this with adults as well. I had a doctor in just the other day, and I was doing my usual eye movements, and she just suddenly started bursting out in tears. And I said, "How old are you right now?" She said, 3. I went, right. And we're doing the bunny talk process, and we did. And she absolutely loved it. And she even wore the bunny ears while we were doing it. And you know what? The change was incredible, because I think we got to the ISE, the initial sensitizing event. And you just got to love it, that actually it's another tool in your toolbox, that when you have suddenly an adult, you just think, do you know what? I'm going to do this with you. And they love it. And they play. And of course, it's age regression with eyes open, because you're getting the colorings out. If you're using crayons, who remembers the smell of crayons? All your senses. I mean, the results I get are phenomenal. And it's all through play. And it's just so easy for people to naturally go into eyes open hypnosis through play. The children do, the adults do, everybody does. And because of the diagrams, you've got the parents, they start to take responsibility, and they go, oh yeah. And then the beauty of it is that many of them then go on and do the sleep talk, learn that as well. They'll take the opportunity to learn sleep talk for their children. It's yeah. Any other questions? Was that helpful, Lawrence?
It was. And I guess for me, the observation I make here is that, for those people that may not necessarily want to work with kids, I can hear that there is a lot of tools in here that might be across what you're currently doing in the clients that you might be working with, given the nature of progression, and the fact also that it's not necessarily requiring that traditional close your eyes and go inwards hypnosis, but different forms of hypnotic phenomena as well.
Yeah. So it's, as a therapist, I've trained, when I piloted it, I did it to 12 therapists, and and it was quite interesting because they didn't understand anchors for a while. And that was almost the hardest thing to do, but I didn't have to teach any formal hypnosis. Do I do hypnosis with yes, I do. Yeah. Because they're in it anyway. They're all we all know that everything's hypnosis, especially children. They're in play all the time. They're in hypnosis. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions at all? Just checking to see. We haven't got anything that's in the comments section.
Katja's got one. Yeah.
Right. Go, Katja.
Hopefully the internet will last. It's a bit up and down. You say bunny talk. Have you trialed with different puppets?
The reason why Yeah. So you could absolutely. The reason why I use this is because that was how it was created with my daughter. And then, of course, that's a traditional anchor of like a circle of, we would do that with excellence, with for sports performance, say you anchor things in, or they might do that. You could actually. I've got somebody who's training now at the moment, and she's that was her thing. She used to do snakes with her child, but I think there's just something about the actual pressure there. Also, if you use traditional puppets, you don't lose your hands. Well, we hope not. Sorry. But it's like, it's like you generally always got your fingers, you've got your hands. So it's like wherever my daughter and I were when she was little, if I could do that at the playground, and we literally, it was our thing. And it can be lots of people's things, whereas you don't always have your like little puppet with you, or you might lose it or whatever. You generally don't lose your hands.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions at all? That was a great question, Katja. Thank you for that.
Yeah, because a lot of people do use, there's that, because there was that little squirrel puppet, isn't there? That little, I've seen the lady who does that, and it's just so adorable and absolutely brilliant. And actually, I do have a puppet that I use with my clients living with dementia. But it's just because with the eye movements and the pup, I just, anyway, that's what I do. But
I've kind of played, but I haven't actually used it in therapy, by using the finger puppets for working with parts. So rather than you got this part and then you got that part, I just put little finger puppets on and I go, well, what do you want to call this part of you that does that? And then but because then you've got kind of 4 different little representations, it's much easier to have as a representation of the parts. So yeah, I just wondered.
No, brilliant. That would be like another thing. That would be what you would do as another thing round what I'm training. So it's like so I love that, absolutely, because I do parts as well. But I don't I get some balls out and things like that. But I'm not training that because parts work, I'm not training parts work in this, because that is a very, people really have to understand parts work, because that all has to be integrated and people have to know. So that's a different training. There's because this and that's not within this, but that's what I love about this training, is that you can use segments of it and add in what you do. So it's like, I will do this and then I'll just think, oh, but I need to do this now, and because I will. But you can just use this, or you can use bits of it and do what your bit as well. Lovely. Yeah, I love that you do that. That's sweet.
I was about to say, an observation I'd like to share as well is I sadly lost my mum at the end of 2023 after many years of dementia, and whenever I went to visit her, I would frequently get a toy stuffed dog that she had on a bed that she loved, and talk to her through that. And it would often grab her attention so much more during that time, and build a way in which I could get through to her, which didn't seem to be as easy when it was just putting that toy down and trying to do face to face. And there's something about this that kind of has hit me with that as well, in the sense that I can see how people in their later years, particularly dealing with dementia, where they kind of regress back in who they are. This could be really useful in that regards as well, I think.
Absolutely, which is why I said to my daughter, if I ever get dementia, will you use that? Because this will transcend generations. This will transcend generations. That if you have something like that, your little thing, as you say, a little, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Katja just mentioned as well, the same thing with her dad using a toy dog. It's such a shift that happens. It's incredible. Yeah. So I can understand how this would work. Rebecca, lovely Rebecca over in Perth, has a question.
Hi. Claudia, could you give us an outline or some kind of indication of what the training involves, how long it is, what's required, etc., please?
So yes, so I have discovered that people do like to have 2 days to learn it in. I'm sorry, I'm getting the blues whenever I do that. When I know it's if I do that, I think I get something else. There you go. It's quite funny, isn't it? So Rebecca, I do a lot of the emotional intelligence diagrams, and I have a Facebook group as well, private Facebook group, especially for the practitioners, where all of that first bit is gone over and over and over. You get the recordings on that so that you can get it down to a T, because some people can get them pretty quick, others they just can take longer, just by the nature of it. And then again, you don't have to use them all. You could just use one or two. Now, I like to see everybody doing the whole thing from with each other. So there's be breakout rooms, or we all watch, and everybody is doing it. They're taking it in turns to do it on each other. So everybody will get their own healing when they're doing it, because you're bringing your own stuff, content free, of course. So let me just show you. There we go. And there's a manual which you'll get with it all. I have some examples here that people have done. As you can see, somebody felt it there. So when you're doing it online, because you can't draw around the whole body, because I don't know how many people see people online and not in person. So if you're online only, then you would only want to, probably want to learn it online. So you do gingerbread men. Now they will do their own gingerbread man, and you copy their gingerbread man yourself, and then you write down, you copy what they wrote. So it's like if they had, it's like red and yellow, and then you just do it that way. Let me see if I've got some more here. There we go. There we go. Got another one here. There you go. And that even says pooey sound. It's like, because that's what it sounded like to them. And we're all always client-centered. It's what it is to them. It's their stuff. And then it changed all to healthy. Yeah. So it's like, so yeah, there's just different, it's quite incredible what people come out with. Again, there's just some other ones here. So that's what you would do with online. So when we're doing it online, people will actually, I will do it obviously in front of everybody on somebody. And then it's like, okay, you have the manual, and the manual has all of the, because obviously I'd want you to read the manual first. And there is I've done it, first of all, very in depth in the manual. Then it is like broken down, and then there's the really quick bit so that you can have a framework. And again, when you're with a client, they don't know if you're doing it exactly right. We've all been there right at the beginning of when we were learning. They don't know. So it doesn't matter if you think, oh, and next time we'll use the ruler now. You say, if you forgot to use the ruler, it won't matter. I don't want anybody to get upset by this. It's like, it's when they're learning with me, it's like, it just doesn't matter. That's how we learn, isn't it? All the time. And yeah, so it's 2 days because of Australia and the time difference. Lawrence and I came up with over 4 days. So 2 weekends. It'll be like my Friday night and Saturday night, which I think is your Saturday night and Sunday night. And but like I think it'll be like 4 hours each.
It was
each
about
day.
9 to 12 in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. And 6 till 10 my time on both those times. So that we could work that out. And that's in June. And everybody will constantly get a chance to do it. And then there's the Facebook group where I take pictures of my things. I have drawings there. I've got a whole, I actually did a whole video of a little boy, and that was the one that Bob Burns, when I was telling him about this, he said to me, send me a video, Claudia, of you working with a child. And I did. And if anybody knows Bob Burns, he will tell you if it is shite. And he sent me a video back saying, I absolutely loved it. You could visibly see the child changing. And you can with your clients as well. I had another young lady, and these people, they're sent to me from their therapists and psychotherapists, because I have actually done this on them, and they have now sending me their clients. And I put some of the case studies up in there of what I did. So there's constant and because I want people to be able to do it well and properly, there's always the opportunity to join for a way reduced fee, like a one-off fee of like $95, and then you can do it online again for free anytime. I want people to do this well. All my children have been sexually abused. It's really important to me. That people can do this well and help children. It's just too much. There's so much out there. It's awful. And we can do this content free. That's why I had the snake. Where's it gone? It's not live. But it's that's a penis. That's why I have the snake. And just recently I had this young lady, she had the snake, and she had the spiders devouring it, and she gave her mum a hammer, because I've got a little plastic hammer, and just seeing her doing that, and then doing the, it's just like, well, because when they are role playing it out, they think they're doing it. It's all eyes open hypnosis. It's just that with the eye movements as well, as I could say, it all goes back on into the hippocampus where it belongs. Because we're getting rid of the shit, rid of the poo on the brain. So yes, as you can see, I'm extremely passionate about this. And I want people to be able to do it, and do it well. And the how do I do it? And I'm there. I get, the other day somebody was like, oh, Claudia, this is happening, what do I do? I'm there all the time. I've done my supervisor's course, it's like, well, what would it be like if you did this? And people feel very comfortable just sharing their stuff. Am I doing this right? Yeah, you're doing great. Keep doing it. So yeah, it's very near and dear to my heart. Any other questions? Sorry, I've been traveling all day and I'm a little bit tired.
We can probably wrap it up fairly soon, as we've been going close to an hour, and you've shared so much, and it's been truly wonderful just to be able to talk to you and find out a little bit more about what the bone talk process is and where it came from and why it's important for us to know. Let me just get my dates up here, just so if people are curious. The online training, Australia time, is going to be Saturday and Sunday, the 14th and 15th of June, and the 28th and 29th of June, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., both weekends, Melbourne time. So this will be Friday and Saturday in the USA. And we'll be sending around lots of information about that with the replay of this, along with a few other goodies and freebies.
Yes. So we actually have another opportunity that if you'd like to sign up, the first 5, get in touch with us, and either me or Lawrence, and you'll get a further $100 off the training.
And that's on top of the already existing early bird rate. So
yeah, because it's early bird still at the moment.
Pretty good.
So yeah, yeah.
Is there any other questions or any comments or anything people would like to share before we kindly let Claudia go? She has a weekend of training ahead of her in person.
Yeah.
I just have one really quick comment, Claudia, and that's that when I first saw you do this, 2 things came to mind. First of all, and I missed part of it because I had to take a call. I'm sorry, so you might have covered this, but those shadow figures that people do all the time, that's the way a bunny looks whenever they do the shadow figures. It's first thing I thought of. Then second thing, being an NLP master practitioner and trainer, I thought of obviously anchoring as well. But the first thing I thought of was that, and thought, how appropriate is that, especially with bunny talk?
Yeah, and that was how it came about. I was doing shadow puppets with my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did miss that part. Okay, never mind.
I did. No, but isn't that interesting that's
Yes.
what you thought? Because that's what we used to play, wasn't it? Shadow puppets as kids.
Yeah.
We'd do things. And that was actually, you're right. That's what I said right at the beginning. That was how it started. I was showing my daughter shadow puppets, and she particularly loved the bunnies.
Yeah. I was kind of listening to it while I was doing the other thing, but then I didn't come on because I didn't want you to see what.
But that's great because you came to it yourself. That's so cool.
There you go.
And the good news is that because this has been quite a content-rich presentation, a replay will be sent out to everyone, so you can catch up again as well.
Yeah, as soon as I get the thing, I'm going to definitely watch the whole thing again.
It will be out before, probably in about the next 2 hours. It will be out. So,
thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your Saturday.
Very much.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Thanks, Lawrence.
Bye-bye.
guys, we'll let you all go. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.